If you don't know who Fatima Stanford Cody, she is an accomplished bariatric obesity metabolic disorder surgeon. And she's given a podcast here out of Harvard University or Stanford University, one of those things. But she really component of obesity. Some people are have a problem issue with obesity or weight issues when they're children, or maybe after pregnancy, hormonal disorders. Sometimes we have a health issue that causes obesity, midlife crisis, change, depression, all these things. So obesity is a multi-factor disorder. And, you know, what really gets me and plagued with this condition, that we're the ones that have to fight it out, that we're not strong enough, or, you know, we got to dig deep and all this kind of stuff, where she points out here that it's more than a physiological disorder or a hormonal disorder, that it's multifactorial, depending upon so many things, even when we come out of the womb as children. But that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse, because we can put the pieces to the puzzle together and change our life forever. And that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that we had to go for, was weight loss surgery. And that is a component of the puzzle to put back our lives and our bodies and get us on the right path to wellness or thinness, or whatever your goals may be, or to have a child, right? Fertility reasons, because we know as women, obesity, or if we have PCOS, a hormonal disorder, blocks us from fertility. I mean, even if my own family, my sister, she had one child and then she gained a lot of weight. And for years and years, her husband and her tried to have a baby, the second child. They could never conceive. But then they broke up, and she went through a very tumultuous divorce. She lost 100 pounds. And guess what? One night, they got together on a date night, and she got pregnant. Right. So there you go. But if you can take some time, you can watch this podcast in different segments. You don't have to watch it, or you can put your speed doctor here. She really puts all the pieces together, and put some pieces together that I had a lot of questions that nobody had the answer for, and she answered them. And to just put it together real quickly, one of the components that I didn't understand is, as she points out in this video, in the brain, we have the hypothalamus, and then we have the pituitary. So genetically speaking, and there's a genetic SNP that some of us were born with pathway. Say, for instance, my husband, he has this there's a CC, and there's a TT, and then there's CTC. These three components in our genetic component that we can either turn off or turn on. The one genetic thing, and it says in here that it's a pathway in the brain, like this people that are born, they seem to have obesity as children, or 600-pound life, or whatever. They have one of these really strong pathways that is hard to control. And then you have someone in the middle of the line pathway that it can be controlled, but can be triggered by some of the foods that we eat, like me. I wasn't always obese, but I got obese in my midlife. And it's kind of like a turn on, turn off trigger. And by foods or sedentary lifestyles, or not paying attention to what you're doing. And like my husband, he's an ectomorph. He can eat anything. And like she says, her husband is the same way. So there's a third pathway. So there's three pathways in the brain that we can't fix, that we have to continue to fight. There's no way of turning off that gene. But we can sort of like change the pathway somewhat. We kind of can like control it some way with weight loss surgery, and the way we eat and lifestyle changes. You can continue to fight. and then through pharmaceutical, which is phentermine, which I had to take because I can't have a revision. But if you watch this video, it really would explain some of the things that we have as weight loss surgery patients have to deal with through our whole pathway, right? So if you have some time, I'm going to link it below. Please take some time and look at it. It'll really answer some of your questions. I know some people who go through pre-op, I know I did. I had very bad addiction to fast food. Fast food addiction is real. The microbiota are foods that we eat in our gut. There's a brain, and there's a gut connection, and they're always communicating. And we have good bugs and bad bugs in our body, where they say we're 95% worms and bacteria in our body, and they communicate all over. That's what controls a lot of our systems together. So when we remove these foods away, the bacteria in our guts, they get really angry. And that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that I was missing when I was going through this detox kind of thing in 2012, because I don't eat fast food. Sorry. I don't eat processed foods. Mostly I cook all my foods, and I try to take my own foods because of that reason. Like I said, I battled with the food beast, and every time I eat off plan, or if I veer off and start to eat the bad foods, the sugar foods, the carbs, the chips, and all this thing, those bugs repopulate my gut. They go right to my brain, and the food beast comes back, and then the battle starts all over again. Like my husband says, you got to live a little. You got to live a little. Well, he just does not understand. He does not understand. For some reason, it comes back full force, and then I have to detox all over again. It's almost like I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug addict. So I can relate to what they go through because I have it with fast food and junk food. And I don't really think that I am that odd of a unicorn, because, as she says, obesity now is pandemic all over the world. And growing up as a kid in the 1970s, if I had fast food, it was a treat. We had fast food maybe twice a year, we never went out to eat. My mother cooked, home cooking. Dinner was always at 4:30. We always ate as a family, and that was my life until I was 18 years old, 17 years old, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. So you people, folks that are pre-op or whoever's struggling at this time, try to reinforce the basics that you were taught pre-op. Go back to eating whole foods. Try to get yourself in a hobby. Today I have 2 appointments. I'm walking at 11:30. I already made my appointment to walk with my friend, and I already made contact with another friend to play pickleball for an hour. All through the summer long, I stayed in my garden. Everybody would say, "Why are you out here all day in this garden? You're out here all the time." And I would tell them, and they thought I was funny. I'd say, "Oh, I'm fighting the refrigerator. I'm staying away from the food beast." Well, they thought it was hysterical, but it was the truth. I stayed in that garden sometimes 6 hours to be out of that house, because I'm not working it now. 6 hours out in the garden to stay away from the food beast. So get yourself a hobby, exercise. What they do is it replaces the endorphins that we used to enjoy when we were eating some of our comfort food or whatever. We don't have them. So the brain is like screaming for dopamine or a fix. So you have to replace it with something non-food that you enjoy, whether it's learning how to crochet, playing a musical instrument, reading a book, going out to the park, making a new friend, joining a social activity, a club, a book club, something online. Stay away from the video games, because that's another thing that contributed to my obesity. I was hooked on this game